You are live, baby.
Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. I hope that everybody's doing good. So we're gonna do just another part of the process of finishing these barn doors that we have here that we're gonna put up in the store. And I'm particularly gonna go over applying stain. All right, so we're gonna be doing black walnut, and let's begin. Okay, so the most important part is prep. And when staining, you always do want to test, your colors to see what they look like. For example, I'll actually move back over here. I have, just some scrap wood here that we made these doors out of, and I applied the stain on it, trying a few different techniques so I could figure out what I liked and what worked. Always do this, especially when staining, because the stain color can change depending on the type of wood that it's on. With the black walnut, for example, let's actually see. If you can pan up and show them the wood board at the top of the store and what color it is. See? So you have that here, and then this color here. So this is actually, and this isn't finished at all. This was that scrap piece. This is that same color, the black walnut. But on the top of there, that's a more yellow toned wood as compared to what we have here. And the age of the wood can affect it as well. So those are a few, small things just to keep in mind. Always test on a scrap piece first. Another important part is to keep in mind that the age of the wood and the type of wood will give it different absorption levels, meaning that the stain can take more in different areas if it's really dry, and naturally that can happen in more like the knotty parts of the wood and so forth. So what you can do is condition it ahead of time so that the stain can attach more evenly. Now, if any of you guys have any questions about this or anything else during the live, please feel free to put them in the comments. I have Keenan here.
Hey-o.
And he's going to be available to let me know so I can answer any questions along the way too, okay? So don't let me forget, I get to talking and I'm
I'll make sure to let you know.
All right, thanks. All right. So actually, one of my favorite ways to prep the wood, and again, this depends on the type of wood. With some hardwoods, you don't need to apply anything before your stain. But in this case, this was some pretty old wood, and I wanted to make sure that the stain, adheres evenly. So what I like to use is our clear gel stain and glaze base as a primer sort of before my stain. Now this clear gel stain we actually designed for our stain kit, which you can find in the CrystaLac store. We have concentrated pigments that you can put in it to make any color stain that you want outside of even our pre-made stains. So that's what this was actually designed for, but I think it's great as an initial conditioner because it's made to be for a stain, so it applies like a stain. So you can also use a top coat as well, especially if it has heavy absorption. But this will it soaks into the wood like a stain would, so that it doesn't give you adhesion issues with your stain.
Creates like a barrier.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So I've actually already applied it to this door over here, which is when I'll show you the warm walnut. So I'm just going to show you what this looks like and how you apply it. So this is the clear gel stain. You see the texture of it? This gel stain is not like the gel stains that you pick up at a store. A lot of those are essentially top coats with pigments that have been thickened. And they can work great, but this is truly going to apply like a stain, and it also can adhere even over paint to be used like a glaze and all sorts of things. But we'll just stick to this project for now. Always stir. Any product you get of ours, you want to stir it really well, but do not shake it because you'll cause a lot of excess bubbles, okay? All right, and I'll show you what I did on this other piece. So nice and easy with any of our products. You do the dip and drip method. And can they see that texture there?
Mm-hmm.
All right, see that? And then it's like the gel-like substance in it. All right, so don't wipe it on the side of the can, though you may want. If you need to, if you've got a little string, I like to do a little twist method like that. And then you do nice, even strokes. So sometimes if my brush is really wet, I'll leave like a little dot there, and then start at the top and move along. And you see it's darkening it a little bit, but that's just where the wood is getting wet. That's not going to remain as it dries. Okay? And you essentially would do this over your entire piece. Now for this door, I really like the natural wood accent right here with the bark on it. So I'll probably even put a gloss top coat there and protect it so when I do stain, this part remains the same. Because I just love having that natural look. All right. And I'm going to finish this piece here. Does anybody have any questions or anything so far?
Not so far.
Okay. Not a problem. I'm just going to keep showing you guys the application of this. Now the stain does dry very fast. So do keep that in mind when you're applying. Make sure that you're ready to finish the whole piece of wood that you're on when you start. And if you stop and start, sometimes you can layer over your original color and it'll adhere fine, but you may not get the color and coverage you want. But that's why applying this gel stain first, the clear, helps. If it's a very absorbent wood and you're worried about the tannins, which I'll do, I have info about tannins in the guides in the Facebook group, so make sure you check that out. I even have a whole blog written about it. But some woods tend to bleed the tannins, and if that's an issue and you don't want it going into your stain, we do have, it's not shellac, which has a tannin blocker in it. But again, it does depend on the type of wood. You wouldn't want to use that on a hardwood before your stain. Not because the gel stain won't adhere to it, but the color just won't apply evenly. It won't be able to soak into the wood because you've essentially prepped it to keep that from happening, okay? And I'm going to show you another tip that I did on this other piece. So I've actually had this question a lot in the group. When you're not sure what to do with the end grains, because the end grain of the wood tends to absorb it right up and take the full color so that it's, you know, it's essentially like if we have black walnut, it'll almost appear black as compared to the gray coverage on top. So as we were talking before about prepping before so that, you know, it doesn't soak in, I actually did that on purpose with my end grain. And what I did, I'll show you right here, is I took some of my top coat. In this case, extreme protection, but it can be any of, you know, the top coats that you're using. See if I can get this open. Here we go. All right, and this is a satin. Make sure again that you stir it really well, especially if you have satin or matte, because otherwise the agents that get, break that sheen down for you can settle at the bottom, and it can appear glossy if you don't mix it well enough, okay? But this is what I did. Especially, sorry to walk so far away here. I'm going to do it in the corner here. So on the edges, on the side here where you have, it's not necessarily the end grain's at the very bottom, but the edge where it's rough, where it was sliced, I took my top coat and I actually prepped that portion with the top coat first with my brush and went over it like this. That way, it absorbs it and kind of creates a layer so that when you do your stain, it's essentially kind of done the initial absorption already and you can get even coverage of your color. So, and you can kind of do that with the same on the top, but the top coat dries a lot harder, and again, you can have the same issue if you do that first of not having even coverage of your color, okay? And I know some of that might sound confusing and back and forth because it really does depend on the wood, you guys, and the age of the wood. But if you have specific questions about the wood you're using, you know, you can just email customer service and I can help out or put it in the comments there. Always happy to help you out, okay? All right, I feel like I was missing something. Prepping with your gel stain, you want to cover your end grains. By prepping them, especially end grains such as like this part. So on this, you know, we're not going to be showing that when I stain it. You're not going to see it when the door's up, so it doesn't matter. But this is what true end grain is. So in that case, I would probably do quite a few layers before I did my staining. All right. And I will show you guys what the stain looks like. Got my mixing stick. Brush. So with any of our products, you want to apply it between 68 and 75 degrees. Okay, and it's important to keep in mind that your product is at those temperatures as well, especially as it's getting colder. If you've had your product in your garage and it's been there overnight, maybe the sun's come out during the day and now it's 70 degrees and you think you're good to go, but the product in the container could actually still be 50 degrees from where it's been sitting. So keep that in mind with your projects, okay guys? And then the perfect humidity is above 50%, 70% being perfect, okay? All right, so this piece I already prepped. I put my top coat along my end grains here, and I did one coat of the clear gel staining glaze across the top. So we're gonna see how it turns out together. Now, as always, stir it really well. You can actually see I mixed it a little too much earlier, got some bubbles. All right. But you want to make sure that the colors in there are mixed in really well. So, stir it good and make sure you bring those colors up to the top. Okay. Woo, I'm so excited.
It's gonna look good.
All right. All right, and when applying, so you can brush, spray, or wipe on our stains. In this case, I'm gonna brush, it's just personal preference. All right. And again, you wanna do smooth, even coats. So start at the end and work your way down. This is gonna be so pretty.
Yeah, it looks good already.
Yeah. See, I'm glad that I used the gel stain and I didn't use it like a top coat. This is taking the color perfect. These are my work pants so I can get stain on them, but let's see if I can turn this around. Got some bubbles there, so I'm just gonna kind of redip it. I have to move a little faster. All right, it's coming out beautiful. And you can do as many or as little coats of the stain as you want. It really just depends on how dark you want the color to be. There we go, I'm just kind of blending that up there. Oh, and another tip. So, I tend to make messes. I'm always very nervous about dripping my paint where it's not supposed to be. Especially when I'm applying stains, because as y'all know, when a stain gets on something, it's pretty much good to stay. It's there. So a little cheat that I do. So this part of the wood I'm gonna leave with that plain of the sanding sealer, because I love that color of the natural wood there. So what I did is I actually did one coat of my top coat already on this part of the wood. That way, if I accidentally drip it, it's really easy to wipe off with a damp rag, and it doesn't have a place to soak in so easily. So just a little pro tip there, or for those who are beginners and not quite a pro yet. But we all make mistakes. So I like to prepare for the inevitable.
Tammy said, is that Java?
This is the black walnut.
Yeah, black walnut. For some reason, it's not showing comments on yours, so I'm just looking at it on.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's odd. Come on, Facebook, get it together.
It's always something. If it's not one thing, it's another.
Wow, this is so pretty. Got this little piece of wood sticking out down here. I needed to sand off. All right. Just trying to blend it up. And if you want to pan over, show where I very first started applying it, how it's already soaking in and the color's taking. Looks really beautiful. It's not fully dried yet. The color will keep, showing up as it dries, but that's how fast it takes to the wood. And what I'll probably end up doing on the inside portions here is use my small brush and apply it that way as opposed to my big one, because I tend to be a little messy. But you can always use a technique like this and work up the stain. And if you do end up messing up and getting stained where you don't want it, you can always sand it back and then, you know, redo that portion. Worst case, you can always stand back and start again. But no one likes extra work when they don't have to. I know I don't, at least. Alright, and if y'all don't care, I might put a poll in the group, but I'd be very interested to know like how you guys feel about lives, and also in the future, like what time of day works out best for you, because I know everybody has different schedules, and I'm very flexible, so if it's better to do it in the morning, or maybe later in the afternoon, maybe, you know, 5 and 5:30 is too early, and you have to wait to get the kids to bed, I can always do something at another time. So, you know, let me know. I'll put a poll in the group. Keep an eye out for it. And if you don't care to, you know, just participate, because I'll always keep you guys in mind. Now, actually, here's a good example of a mistake I made. So, I'm going to always show you guys my mistakes, because that's the best way to learn when you finish this section here. You can see there's a portion here that I didn't prep well enough. Okay. So right here, you see this like round spot? This is where probably the wood was like pre-treated and there was something on there already. It could also possibly be where maybe I dripped sanding sealer and I didn't notice. So it's repelling the stain right there. So, you know, very important. That's why I do sand down, especially old wood, because you don't know what's gone on it as it sat through the years. Yeah, that's essentially it. But it'll be an easy fix. What I'll do later is after this dries is I'll sand back this portion and then redo the stain there. Yeah. All right, but I think that's the basics of everything. All the little tips I have and all that. Does anybody have any questions?
Not that I can see. We'll see. No, I think we're good.
Okay, perfect. Well, you guys, I hope you have a good rest of your afternoon. If you catch this later, you know, still drop your comments with any questions. I'll check it and keep an eye on it so I can answer anything for you guys, okay? Have a good day.